let me tell you a little bit about the NLP Practitioner training with Transforming People Academy. So at Transforming People Academy, we have got really, really high standards around the trainings we do. And we want people to excel to the best of their ability in what they're doing. And one of the trainings that our signature program is the NLP Practitioner Certification training. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It's a 7-day intensive training, which means at the end of 7 days, you'll have all the skills and abilities and all the capabilities of being an excellent practitioner of NLP and of timeline therapy and of hypnosis. And there's basically, we cover an awful lot of material in that week. So the NLP Practitioner training teaches a lot of really powerful, really powerful tools and techniques for personal change, for working with yourself, but also for working with other people. Specifically, one of the really powerful techniques we teach something called sensory acuity. Now, sensory acuity is basically a technique for having really advanced observation skills about what's happening around you. I mean, right down to noticing things like the changing of the tonality of the skin and the skin color, and noticing the dilation of the pupils of the eyes, and using that information to calibrate what the person is saying, whether they're congruent about what they're saying or whether there's incongruence there, and being able to calibrate on that. So we teach that level of advanced communication observation skills on the practitioner training. Now, I don't know if it's ever happened to you that you've actually had a conversation with someone and then you realized afterwards they hadn't a clue. They were like out to lunch. They weren't even noticing what you're saying, and you didn't realize after you're speaking. So learning really good sensory acuity allows you to really get that level of understanding. So you know you're connected with someone and they can connect with you, and you can calibrate from moment to moment as you're speaking about exactly what's going on inside. And that's really important in this day and age. Especially when so many people are glued to their cameras and their smartphones and distracted. You want to know that the person can understand what you're saying when you speak. So we teach you how to have that level of awareness at our practitioner certification. Now, we also teach something called rapport, but not just, rapport is a concept. We teach you the actual process of getting really deep rapport with someone if you choose. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea to have rapport with everybody, but I do think it's important to be able to establish rapport when it's required. So we teach you really advanced techniques on getting deep rapport with someone, so that it just feels like it clicks when you speak to the person. So that you can actually build better relationships with people. So you can build better, so you can connect with people at a much deeper level. And also so that you can actually influence what's happening in your career, in your life, so that people give you the attention you need when you connect with them. I think that's really important. So we teach that at a very deep level as well in practitioner training. Now, another thing we teach is very advanced communication skills. Now, this is so important nowadays, because there's so much of the information that is lost when we're not paying attention to what's going on. So we teach you how to pay attention, not just to the person's body language, not just to the changes of their skin tonality and their pupil dilation and the thickness of their lips and the tonus of their skin. Not just that, but also the structure and order of the language that they're speaking. So you can really listen carefully and understand how they're creating their model of the world that they live in. And also how you can communicate in a way where the person gets you at a much deeper level. Okay? So this is so important, because people are different. People have very different ways of communicating. Some people are very visual, some people are very auditory, they are very big into sounds, and some people are very much into how they do stuff and how they feel about what they do. But it's not just about recognizing whether someone is visual, auditory or kinesthetic, the doing person, but also recognizing how they structure their language and what's inherent in the words they use that reveals the deep structure of what's going on inside. And this is so important nowadays, because there's so much potential for miscommunication in business, miscommunication in relationships, miscommunication in education, miscommunication in training, in so many areas, if you don't understand the core essence of communication. So we like to think we give people the ability to use code spells, the ability to actually almost craft spells from the words they use in order for the person to really get what you're saying. So I don't know if you would find that valuable, but I think it's a very valuable skill to have. Right? But that only scrapes the surface that we cover, because we also, as part of that communication system, that model that we teach, we also show two very advanced sets of models, so two models around language that's used in therapy and in problem solving. So if you want to become really, really good at problem solving, then I strongly recommend you attend our training in order to understand how the meta model works. So the meta model is one of the models we teach in this training, and it's a model that was modeled from a lady from Virginia Satir, and she was a really, really world-class family therapist. She had this amazing ability of asking specific questions in order to realize what was the deep structure of the utterances that were coming out of people's mouths. And actually by doing that, she was able to figure out how they're creating the problems they're creating and how to solve them. So we teach you how to use the meta model in your communication, which is really, really powerful in business, especially in the area of problem solving. So if you're trying to solve problems in business, the meta model is so important. And there's another model we also teach as part of this communication part of the course, which is called the patterns of Milton Erickson's, or the Milton model. And this is also a very powerful language model on creating change inside, but it works in a totally different way to the meta model. The meta model is about getting very specific, about recovering lost information. But the Milton model that we teach is totally different, because it's about abstract concepts that allows the person to connect at an abstract level, which is wonderful for communicating with lots of people at the same time. Now, I don't know if you know people who can speak like that. I don't know if you've actually experienced people speaking in that way. And it's a wonderful thing to know if you can actually speak in a way, because that's a good thing to do, is to be able to speak with those Milton patterns so that people can make connections with you at an unconscious level. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm actually speaking in Milton patterns, or have been for the last minute, to give you just a taste of how slightly subtle and different it is when you speak in that way, because that's a good thing to do, is to learn this at a very deep level. But we don't just teach this as part of communication. We also teach a whole bunch of very powerful techniques built about a stimulus response, or anchoring, based on the work of Pavlov. A lot of the work that has influenced CBT, we actually teach that as one of the modules in our training, which teaches you about stimulus response and how behavior is affected by stimulus response, and how our mind actually gets influenced by the anchors we create in our body. And this is really important. I don't know if you know, if you worked in sales, if you come across someone who works in sales, and they come in on Monday morning and they look at the phone and they say, "Oh, I feel bad even by looking at the phone." Well, that's called a negative anchor. So we teach you how to get rid of negative anchors. And people have got strategies as well. And the strategies that people use can result in bad feelings. You know, I spoke to somebody the other day who said, about 80% of my day, I just feel bad because there's so much stuff around me that reminds me of bad stuff in my life. And I was going, you don't have to live like this. There are tools and techniques that allow you to feel good, to feel neutral, to actually have a balanced and neutral understanding and balanced neutral view of life by collapsing all these negative anchors. So we teach you how to collapse these negative anchors and how to change these patterns, how to change them so that when you see something that typically makes you feel bad, or you see someone who speaks in a certain way and makes you feel bad, you can change that and feel neutral or even feel good and have a different perspective on it, so you don't have to be a person who reacts, but instead of reacting, you can actually be the observer. You can witness what's happening without actually being affected by what actually happens. This is so important in this day and age, because there's so many times when you're actually in isolation, listening to iPhones or watching TV, where people don't really know what's going on inside. And once you start to realize and bring to the surface that level of awareness, you can really start to change how you create results in your life. But that's not all we teach. That's only up as far as day 3. Right? We also teach a very powerful set of tools and techniques around solving internal conflicts inside. Right? We call it visual squash parts integration, or just parts integration is the short name of it. And it's a very, very important model in this day and age when you want to have coherence and congruence when you're speaking to people. Because I don't know if you know people, you say, what do you want to do? Well, sometimes I want to do this and sometimes I want to do that. Or part of me wants to do this and part of me wants to do that. And the reason they speak in that way, with this kind of asymmetric body language, is because there is a conflict within themselves, which means they're not congruent about making a decision. So they feel like torn between two options. But the options aren't about what's happening outside. It's not about what's happening in your world. It's not about the choices you make. It's actually about what's happening inside. And understanding how that happens inside and being able to resolve that conflict means that you can have more coherence and more congruence in how you speak and how you live your life. Now we're only up to day 4. There's more. There's so much more. We also teach something called timeline therapy. Now, timeline therapy is one of the most amazing tools I've come across in my life. It has totally changed my life. And the way it works, it allows you to get very deep lessons from past experiences so you can stop repeating patterns in your life. Maybe there's some gremlins there that are affecting how you actually move forward in your life. Maybe you've got a goal that's just too big or too scary for you. Or every time you go for it, you find you hit the same block every time. You say, why does this keep happening to me? That's an unresolved negative emotion. And what timeline therapy does is allow you to actually figure out what is the thing that stops you moving forward, and you can rip that out so you get a sense of flow and direction to what you want to do. Really powerful in this day and age. Very, very powerful. But we also teach you another very powerful set of tools and techniques. We teach you hypnosis. We teach you how to use hypnosis to create deep states of relaxation for yourself using self-hypnosis, but also how to induce trance in other people. We teach things like arm catalepsy and how to use a pendulum and the general hypnotherapy paradigm so you can help heal your own body and help other people to heal their body as well by removing the resistance that prevent healing and allow the person to have more congruence and more health and vibrance in their life. Now, here's the thing. You're probably saying, how the hell could you learn all of that in 7 days? Well, the fact is you couldn't. Nobody could learn all that in 7 days. That's why we need you to help us. So what we ask you to listen to our home study program before you actually attend the training. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to a training before where, people are at different standards and different levels, and then you say, well, I'm sure I covered all the prerequisites, but I haven't got a clue what this guy's talking about. Well, it's totally different in our training. What happens is everybody does the same home study program. They read the same books. They do the same tests, which means when you come into the training room for the first day, everybody's at the same level. So we can start straight away. We don't have to backfill. Straight away actually doing exercises and installing the tools and techniques, learning the tools and techniques, and having discussions and question and answers about how you can really, really deeply integrate these tools and techniques into your life. And not only that, it allows you to really have that embedded at a level, so by the time you leave the training, you are an excellent practitioner of NLP, of timeline therapy, and I know, and hypnosis. Okay. So if you are interested, we'd love to hear from you. I promise you, if you put in the study and you attend the training, it will be a life-changing experience for you. And I know that if you talk to any of your students, they will say the exact same thing. Transforming People wants to raise standards for NLP in all of the Ireland of Ireland, and I hope you can join us.